are even, in fact, after so many discussions and so many hours of preparation, we still have some questions around these life cycles. So that is the reason why I took this as a topic, and that is also aligning with our first task in the process domain as per the ECO document. So that is why we have it. So before we go into the life cycle, the discussions, can I ask you quickly, do you have any concerns around this life cycle?
I think quite often this iterative and the incremental, though in itself they make things clear, but when it comes in terms of the questionnaire, sometimes it becomes confusing. The hybrid and predictive, they can be easily made out, but the difference between the iterative and incremental could be confusing sometimes.
Difference between iterative and incremental could be confusing sometimes. Okay, all right. So how clear are you when it comes to difference between the project lifecycle and the development lifecycle? So what is a project lifecycle? So let's start from there. So how do you define a project lifecycle? So when we say project lifecycle, what comes to your mind?
From this start of the project till we achieve the objective, or the project gets null and void. Okay.
So from the beginning of the project till we get the objective?
Yeah. Till we achieve the objective, or if the project gets null and void, means it is no longer required. So it is temporarily, it is get closed.
Okay. So whatever might be the case, basically what happens with this is, just give me 1 second, please. We are still not able to see my OneNote properly. Just a moment. Now, okay. Now, so from the beginning of the project, whatever we are trying to look at. So from the start of the project, every project needs to be started. So that is going to be the first stage. So start the project, initiate the project. And then what do we do after initiating the project?
We do planning.
Go and plan and organize. So once your plan is ready and you're all set to go and carry out the work of the project, you go and carry out the work. Carry out the work. And then finally, you'll go and try to close the project. So by definition, what is a project? How do you define a project? By definition, project predominantly has two elements, right? One is project is temporary, and project creates a unique product, service, or a result. Uniqueness is there as part of everything. So product, service, or result is always part and parcel of any project. This sounds good. So now when we say that projects are temporary, so it means these are some things which are common to any project that we take up. So when you say project, it should have a specific start and it should have a specific end. And what you do in between these two is the life cycle of the project, correct? So these are some things which are generalized and they are given for all the projects that are there. So every project that is present that will have the same characteristics. So that is why we call this as a project life cycle. Which is also a generic life cycle, which is applicable to all the projects that we take up. So when you name any project, so any project practically that you take up will have these elements. So that is why we call this as a generic life cycle. Make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Very good. Now, during this start and end of the project, so during this course of the project where you go and start, initiate the project, plan and organize, carry out the work and close the project. So during this, we will follow different approaches in order to build the product. So in order to build the product, we follow multiple approaches. So in which way are you adopting in order to build this product? So what is a roadmap that you have adopted in order to build this product? So this is something which you call it as the development lifecycle. So this varies from, excuse me, project to project. So IT projects will have a specific approach. Construction projects will have a different approach. So like this, there are multiple ways in which we develop the products of the project. So that will have its own flavor and its own way of doing it. So this development life cycle is something which we need to really focus on and choose the appropriate life cycle for our projects. So if you go and try to bring the type of the project and which type of development approach that you will follow, that will actually make the life very easy, which we are going to do towards the end of the discussion. Now, there are basically 4 types of life cycles. One, we call it as predictive life cycle. And we have incremental life cycle. Then we have iterative. And finally, we have a adaptive. Now, what is predictive? Excuse me. What is predictive life cycle?
All the predictions or the planning are done upfront, right after initiation of the project, how the project will be managed in subsequent phases.
So that's very, very clear. The route in which, the roadmap in which we want to deliver the product. So how we would like to go forward from the beginning of the project to the end. So that is something which is kind of very much known to us. It's predictive. So I know that. Agree?
Yeah.
So when you say incremental, okay, let me put iterative first, and then I will bring incremental into it. So it will be easy to understand. So what is iterative? Iterative life cycle.
Anything where the development can't be taken in stages and to reach to a stage where it can be demonstrated. I mean, the functionality, you need to have a prototype. So you concentrate more on developing a prototype and go on for demonstrating and then understanding if it should go forward or not.
Okay. Yeah. Can you, okay, then what is incremental?
We keep adding the small value or the, whether it is a small or big, but we keep adding value at each stage and successive phases of the project and deliver it. So we keep adding the functionality, every now and then it is delivered to the customer.
Okay, good. And how do you differentiate between iterative and incremental?
I think the iterative doesn't allow to have the incremental approach because it needs to come in a certain shape and model before you can visualize and make sense out of it. Whereas in incremental, I think you have a base and you keep adding the functionality, and it may not have full-blown features, but it can still be used or it could still be functional, which may not be the case with the iterative.
I would rather say the other way. Excuse me. When you say iterative, you are actually trying to deliver a working model of the end product. So, which we also call in layman's language, we call it as prototype. It's not a layman's language, but yeah. So we also call it as prototype. So that is what iterative, I would say. Okay, let me do one thing. Let's simplify this. So instead of speaking it about the overall project level, what do we do at an overall project level? Instead of doing that, let me simplify it and take one activity as the example. So simple activity I would take. Let's say we are preparing dinner. Okay, so we have a guest at home and we are preparing dinner. Now, how do we prepare the dinner actually speaks about these different types of life cycles. For example, I will go and there are, let's say, 3 dishes that I would like to prepare, not dishes, but 3 items. One is the starter. And after the starter is done, I will prepare the main course and then finally the dessert. And once the guest comes, I'll prepare everything. I'll finish this off and then serve it to the customer or to the guest. So the dinner, I'm going to serve it to him as a single unit, single piece, which is generally done at the end of the life cycle. Yeah. So this is what I call it as predictive life cycle. So I'll finish one after the other. So I know clearly what I would like to use, what I would like to show it to my customer, deliver it to my customer, and I'll follow that roadmap approach and I'll deliver it. So that is what we call it as predictive life cycle. Then let's speak about iterative life cycle. So this is about doing it in multiple iterations. So let us say I will prepare my dishes, I'll start preparing my dishes, and I'm not sure. So I will basically get some output here. I'll get some output here. So I will taste this and I'll see how it tastes. So is it good or bad? So if I feel that something needs to be added, so I will go and work on it again. I'll iterate it. I'll repair that recipe. And again, I'll do that. I'll taste it. And once that is done, again, I will go and prepare. So finally, when I go and serve the dinner, I'm going to serve it all together, all the dishes together. And I kept on improvising it. So I tasted it and I felt that there is a need for a change. So I incorporated that change into my next iteration. And then I will go and keep improvising it and keep delivering it iteratively, step by step. Then comes the incremental. So here what I do is I'll first prepare my starter and then I will serve it. I'm serving it to my guest. Okay. Just a minute. And now after that, again, I will go and prepare my main course. And then again, I will serve it. And after that, I will go and prepare my dessert and then I will serve it. So as and when I am preparing the dishes, I will keep on serving it to the customer. So my guest at the end, he is receiving the entire product, but in small increments. So he's not getting it at once, but he'll getting it in small increments. So this is what happens in incremental life cycle. Now, when it comes, now if you see here, when the major difference that we can say in incremental and iterative life cycles, one thing is like iterative is change driven. So we prepare, we build, we come out with some output, we take a feedback, and then we change the next iteration based on the feedback. We incorporate the changes, and based on the changes, we will add to the next iteration and move forward. As the same applies here. So every time whenever I do it, a change is being taken into consideration, and then we are incorporating it and then moving forward. When it comes to incremental, we prepared the soup and served it. And over and above that starter, we added the main course. And we are not changing the starter anymore. We already served it, it's over. So this one particular phase includes the development, testing, deployment, and then finally the first set of features, I'll deliver it. And then the second set of features I'll go and add over and above the first set, and then I'll deliver it. So whatever has been delivered, I'm not going and touching it. I'm not going and changing it. So in incremental life cycle, we generally don't adapt to the changes. So that is when the need for adaptive, or most often we all call this as agile. So that is where this agile comes into picture. So this is a combination of these two, iterative and incremental. When you combine these two together, this will become here adaptive. So what we will do in this, we will start preparing the dishes, and then we will taste it. We'll try to improvise it as we go forward. And then immediately we will also serve it to the host. So I did 2-3 iterations, small iterations. Iterations are relatively very small, and I will prepare it, improvise it, taste it, and then improvise it. And once I come out with this first set of product, I will immediately go and deliver it to my guest. I'll let him have it. So once that is completed, then I'll again go and do the next iteration, considering this feedback. So here, the feedback is considered. That feedback, based on the feedback, we will make necessary changes to the next iteration. Plus, we will also add new features that are to be added to the existing iteration. So there are two things. One is the feedback, and the second one is the increment. The change and increment. Together, we will put it, and then we will deliver so the next part of the product. So this will be like slightly bigger because it consists of the existing features plus a new feature added. So both put together, it will go into the next iteration. So that is what we call it as adaptive life cycles. Then we have the other one, which we also call it as hybrid. What is hybrid? Hybrid is a combination of any of these life cycles. So any combination of any of these two life cycles, at least one life cycle, we will take it and then try to make it as. So this is called as hybrid. So generally, many projects use hybrid. For example, let's say if you take any, for example, there's a large product delivery of IT product delivery. So the architecture of the product is upfront decided. So you have a approach roadmap, you deliver, you have to deliver the product in such a way that approach is there. The architecture is finalized. Then when you are working on the features and adding features, you follow an incremental approach or an iterative approach or an agile adaptive approach, where you keep on adding more features, take feedback and keep adding more. Take feedback and keep adding more. So this is how you generally go forward when it comes to the adaptive approach. Okay, let me take a pause here. So any questions till now?
Yeah, it's clear.
All right, thank you. No questions from anyone else? Anyone else have any questions? Yeah? Okay. So let's go and have a look at the PMI's definition of these life cycles. So project life cycle is something which they specifically call it as a generic life cycle. Now, this is common for all the projects. Whatever projects we have, this is something which is very common to all the projects. So we don't really need to worry about this. Now, coming to the development approaches. Yeah, when it comes to development approaches, you have multiple development approaches like the agile, the predictive, plan-driven, and hybrid models. So agile is nothing but we just discussed that it is a kind of an adaptive life cycle, which is kind of have a flavor of both iterative and incremental. So you keep repeating the things and also keep incrementing the product, adding more and more to the product. So that is what the agile life cycle means. Okay. Then all right. So I just put these in hide. These. Okay. Just a moment, please. Now let us do a quick small exercise on which life cycle should be used when we don't have clarity on the project elements. So I'll show you one picture, which is also called as a Stacy diagram. And using that, we will be able to do it much better. So let me go and open it for you. Okay. Now, this is what are different types of life cycles we just discussed, predictive, adaptive, and hybrid life cycles. Now, this is what I call it as Stacy diagram. So on the x-axis of this diagram, I have the technology, and on y-axis, I have requirements. So on the x-axis, when we speak about technology, the projects which are close to certainty in terms of technology, and the projects which are far from certainty in terms of technology. This is something which is close. I know these, and there are some things which we don't have clarity in terms of technology, so which are very far. And on the y-axis, we have requirements. So requirements are agreed by the users, which are close to agreement. And we have far from agreement, which the users are not agreeing with the requirements. So this is far from requirement. So the projects which have close to certainty in terms of technology and close to agreement in terms of requirements. So these projects, we call them as simple projects. Let's say we are calling them or naming them as simple projects. So which life cycle will you use for simple projects?
Predictive life cycle.
Predictive life cycle. So these are the projects which are kind of very simple. So very straightforward. We know the roadmap, we know the approach. So these projects, we use the predictive life cycle. Then projects which are slightly far from technology and also kind of far from requirements in terms of agreement. So they fall in complicated zone. So which life cycle will be applicable, or which one we will have to choose when the projects are in this?
Iterative.
Iterative, and also maybe incremental, also depending on the situation and the type of the project. Yeah? So that is complicated projects. So complex projects, which are far from certainty and far from agreement in terms of requirements. So which life cycle will we use?
Adaptive.
Adaptive. So this is where adaptive life cycles fit in. The agile will be kind of extensively used or will be very helpful when it comes to complex projects. What about this anarchy? So there's no absolute clarity about the technology and also no clarity in terms of requirements. What do we have to do with this anarchy?
Hybrid.
Should be agile again.
Hybrid life cycle.
Hybrid life cycle, agile again. Okay.
It is better not to attempt.
Very good. So that is the right point here. So if something falls in anarchy, better you don't put your hand into it. So these are the projects which we should upfront say no, or take a decision not to bid for that. So there's always that dark zone, the black zone in all projects, but what is the percentage of that black zone? Is it too much, or is it relatively, is okay? Something is clear, some things are not clear, then it is fine. But if everything is kind of a black box, then better not touch it. Better don't touch it. All right, makes sense?
Yeah, clear. Yeah.
Good. So let's go and, okay, can you see now that we have simplified it and then we understood how this iterative projects or iterative life cycle or incremental life cycle works separately. Now, can we think of any real-time project which falls in this iterative mode, which you deliver it in iterative mode? Can you think of any?
So could you repeat the question, sir?
So my question is, now that we have simplified it, instead of speaking at a project level, we simplified it and then we spoke about the different types of life cycles. So in one simple activity, right? Preparing the dinner. Now, in a project context, what type of projects will fall or will we use iterative life cycles? Which projects we use incremental life cycles? Which projects will fall in predictive, which falls in adaptive?
When you have all the requirements and you're not expecting any change in your requirements, then you can go for a predictive.
Okay, very good. So everything is clear, upfront, defined. So we have all these things in one place. So that is when we follow a
predictive
approach. Very good. Then
when you need some kind of feedback, when the customers are not very clear, they might want to get a hand of it and then give back feedback. Then you might be going for an iterative.
Okay, good. Agree. You need to get a feedback and you need to kind of incorporate some changes into it. You need to take feedback and kind of adapt yourself to that change and then keep delivering. But this frequency of these changes will be relatively long. So these iterations, when it compared with adaptive in a regular iterative life cycle, the frequency of this exercise, what we do in order to collect the feedback. So that will vary a lot. Now, for example, let me put it this way. Now, vaccine manufacturing is there. That's a project, right? Vaccine manufacturing, COVID vaccine, many organizations have brought in.
Adaptive agile.
So yeah, but it is actually iterative, I would say. When we say vaccine development, so first they will get a combination of this thing, and then they will start testing on rats. So if the test on rat succeeds, then they will go and do the same trials on monkeys, rhesus monkeys. If the test on rats fail, either there are two ways: either they'll test it on another family of animals, or they will go and make changes to the molecule itself. So it takes about some reasonably longer time in order to complete the test and then come out with the approach, future approach. So how they are going to go forward. So they will do the test. They'll iterate this test again on different set of animals. And then finally the clinical trials on human beings, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And then finally they come out into the market and say that, okay, this vaccine is ready. But in order to do that, they will follow this series of steps. First, they'll do it on rats, then on monkeys, then on first stage human beings, second stage, third stage. So like that, they'll go in a kind of a systematic approach. So the time taken for each of these iteration is relatively longer. They won't complete it in 1-2 weeks. It will be relatively longer, maybe about 3 to 4 months. And then based on the test results, they will go and make the necessary changes to the next iteration, next phase of the testing, or they will go and make changes to the molecule that they are using for the testing. So either of this happens in a relatively longer period of time. But the same thing, let's say, for example, you are building a website for a customer. So you build a homepage in the first week. Then at the end of the week, you'll take it to the customer, show him that this is what I have done in the first week. Okay, all good. So you have prepared this and you have finished this. Then you incorporate these changes into whatever changes are there, you make the changes into the next iteration and build the next page and immediately show it. So this happens at a very frequent interval of time compared to the 3 months, 4 months, what they're taking. So this happens in 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks to 4 weeks time. So the frequency of changes is very much high in adaptive. And also you are going and adding an increment to the website. So first I built a home page. Now I'm adding about us also in the second iteration, along with the changes that have come in the first iteration. So both together, I'm working on the second iteration. So similarly, I will add my products page in the third iteration, along with the changes that I have suggested on the About Us page in the second iteration. So the changes from the previous iteration, plus I will go and add one more page to it. So this is what we call it as adaptive. In iterative, we are only taking based on this, I'm going and making changes to my molecule, and then I'm conducting my test and repeating it. I'm testing it on different animals, but I'm repeating the test. I'm not incrementing anything. So that is kind of iterative life cycle. This is adaptive life cycle. Adaptive life cycle has incremental approach added over and above this iterative approach. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so let's go and see what PMI speaks about in terms of the characteristics of the life cycles when it comes to predictive life cycle. This is a form of life cycle in which the scope, time, and cost are determined early phases of the project, and it has a fixed requirements. The requirements are upfront defined in the project. Yeah, so the requirements are upfront defined. And based on these requirements, I'll estimate how much time do I need to deliver these requirements, and also the money, the cost that is required to deliver these requirements. So both put together, this is how the approach is. Requirements will drive the time and cost. Requirements, in terms, when we say requirements, we are not limiting it to requirements, but we will go one step into it and deliver. Yeah, we'll go one step inside and then define the scope also along. So the scope is defined, and that drives the time and cost. So that is how the predictive life cycle approach we take. So requirements are fixed. And then the WB is, we break it down into activities, and we perform these activities once per project. So we complete everything and deliver the product at the end of the project. So we are not repeating the activities, we are not repeating the processes, it is all done at once. So we know that this is the approach that I need to go, and then I will go and lay it. So as Joshua has really given a good example, laying the roads on a flat terrain. So I know the process to lay the road. So how many kilometers needs to be laid, I will define that scope. And in order to lay that so many kilometers of road, how much cost and time do I need? I will take that, and then I will go and deliver it at once. So that is what we call as a predictive life cycle. Okay. So goal is a managed cost, but yeah, it's not, will not be the single point goal, but predominantly it will be around that. So that's fine. Let me move forward to the next slide. Iterative life cycles. These are the life cycles where the project scope is generally determined early in the project, but the time and cost estimates are routinely modified as project teams' understanding of product increases. So you define the scope upfront and then start working on the scope. So when you go and start working on it, you'll come out with some output, and you go and review the output, collect the feedback, and rework on it. So whenever you do this collection of feedback and planning for the adoption of changes, whenever the changes are coming up, when you go and say that, okay, I'm going to incorporate these changes into my next, next project. So basically what happens is this will add to that. So iterative is always change driven. So changes are there, and then you will keep adding it into it. So when they say dynamic requirements, this is what they mean. So you take the feedback, the requirements keep changing. So the basic preliminary foundational scope understanding is determined early, and the other elements will keep on changing and modified according to the feedback. So these activities are repeated until correct. So that is what we discussed. So we'll do all these things and then take the feedback and again do it. So all these things. So for example, the vaccine research program, whatever we just discussed about. So you go and try to take the molecule, test it on the rats, and based on the result, you go and adapt to it and then plan for the next, make necessary changes to the molecule and then start testing on the monkeys. So this is the approach which we generally follow when it comes to iterative life cycles. Okay, good. Then let's move forward to the incremental life cycle. So this is where the deliverable is produced through a series of iterations that successively add functionality within predetermined frame time. So the product is broken down into multiple modules. Okay. The product is broken down into multiple modules, and then you will work on it and build a product. Right? So the activities, whatever we are performing, we will be doing it only once per the iteration. So once this is done, I got a product. So immediately I'll go and start working on the next set of features. I'm not going and working on the existing features, what I've delivered in my earlier iteration. I will go and add to the next set of, so it will make it slightly bigger. Then I will add one more, then work on it, and then add a few more. Now, for example, if you take any government kind of projects where you basically go and let's say setting up an ICU during the COVID times in different districts of the state. So what you'll do is you'll go to one district, set up the ICU, prepare the beds, oxygen, concentrators, the other equipment that is required for ICUs, you set it up and then move to the next district. So you finished, you do all the activities, you finish it, and then move to the next district. So it means that the next district is added to the project. So it's incrementing it and you're delivering it only once. So repeating it in the sites. So, and then keep on incrementing it as you move forward. All right. So you're not adapting to, you're not going and touching the previous district's ICU again. So the change will not be incorporated. So if you say that, okay, I will show it and then I will kind of incorporate the changes of the previous district and then add another district, then it becomes iterative. It will no longer be kind of incremental. So then comes the adaptive life cycle, which is generally we call it as agile. So it's a combination of both that combines iterative repetition of activities with incremental deliveries. So both have both have their own set of things. Let me go and see what Mr. Venkatesh has shared, the life cycle types based on your understanding. Okay. Okay, so maybe you can just have a quick look at incremental life cycle, detailed engineering, civil construction, detailed engineering structure, detailed engineering mechanical procurement. Okay, good, makes sense. Okay. Okay. Detail for if you consider detailed engineering alone as a project, then maybe yes. Yeah, basic and detailed engineering alone as a project, what you have prepared is right, Mr. Venkatesh. But when you look at this as an overall project context, then I'm afraid will we be able to really apply adaptive for this kind of engineering and manufacturing or construction kind of projects. So that is where we really need to have a need of these things, the hybrid methodologies. So it includes the overall approach to the project, the entire project, how am I going forward? That needs a kind of predictive approach. For example, in your example, what you said is, okay, I'll do the tendering process. You are unable to see screen which you have shared. Is it so? Can you please confirm if you can see my screen? Hybrid methodologies with me sitting on one side.
Yep.
Can you see me? Okay. Arjun, can you please drop and then come back, because all of us can see.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you please just drop off and then come? Okay. So yeah, the manufacturing of or construction of a plant, whatever we are speaking about. So if you take that as an overall project example, then basically it's very difficult to adapt it. For example, let's say I know how I need to set up a plant. I will go and complete the tendering process, the procurement process, then I'll go and start working on the basic engineering, then detail engineering, then procurement, then receipt of the equipment on site, then maybe commissioning or testing, commissioning, and then finally going live. So these are the different activities which I need to perform, and I'll kind of perform it in a systematic approach. I know the roadmap. So inside this is a kind of a hybrid approach. I'm what I'm talking about. So this is a roadmap that I've built. This is a predictive approach which I have built. And inside this detailed engineering, I will build the initial plan, then I will go and show it 30% complete. I'll show, take feedback, incorporate it, then again build the next 30%, take feedback, then again do it. So you can do it in multiple iterations. So this is kind of what I'm speaking about, hybrid approach. Venkatesh, sir, is it clear to you now?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir. Clear.
Yeah. So overall project level, I'll have a roadmap, a predictive approach, and then I will do it in a multiple increments. Then absolutely possible. Yeah. So hybrid approach is something which can be adapted to practically any project. Probably preferably project is a little longer. So 2-week long, 4-week long projects, we generally don't do this kind of extensive planning. But that is also not required. Okay. Good. So, so I have a few more things like that. So changes when it is best suited. We already had a discussion around it. So that part is clear. So agile suits the projects which are kind of software projects based on intellectual property or research, where the changes are relatively easy and waste is not really costly. And the environment in which we will be delivering the projects is relatively complex, and the end product is not known fully. The clarity on the end product is not there. So we don't know what the people are trying to achieve, and they're not able to kind of communicate it effectively, which is putting a lot of uncertainty in terms of requirements and in terms of technology. So there, the agile or adaptive models will work. Plan and predictive, plan-driven or predictive life cycles. This predominantly we should use it for where you really can't go and make changes without impacting the cost of the project. So midway through the project, if you really go and try to really go and implement the change, it will be kind of very expensive. So I won't go and do that. So it's better not to make those changes when it comes to the project. So that is where I really go and follow the plan-driven or predictive approaches. As you see, example, the construction projects or projects that have many physical assets or similar projects that have been completed in the past. So I know how I need to go forward. I know the approach. So these kind of projects that we follow the predictive or plan-driven approach. Iterative, dynamic requirements and activities are repeated until we come out with a successfully tested vaccine. So we keep repeating the tests on multiple people. So as we said, multiple animals first, then go into the human trials. So we do it multiple ways, and then finally we come out with the successful vaccine, so successful product out. And incremental, the projects where the customers or business is wanting or expecting to see results offer. So we will go and try to deliver the value to the customer upfront. Very early in the project, the customer will be able to see the final outcome of the project. And also it is kind of very frequent, whenever the customer is wanting to see in a very small intervals of time, we will try to deliver the outputs. So that is the incremental life cycle. Then we also already discussed about the hybrid. So projects with a mix of resources and experience levels, or projects seeking or willing to learn new methods or techniques. So this is where we follow the hybrid approach. Okay, so that is it from me for today. So this is about the life cycle. So now we have 15 more minutes, which I will try to use it for the questionnaire.
Prashant sir, Amit here. Just a question
Yes.
on the last slide that you have shown. Here, in the iterative case, it says the dynamic requirements. And the previous slide where we had the iterative scope, it says the scope is clear. Largely, it's clear. I mean,
iterative. So, that is what I said. No, when we speak about iterative, the roadmap should be clear. So that is what we discussed in terms of this also. Our plant construction kind of project, what Venkatesh shared the image to us. So in that also, what did we do? We said that, okay, this is the roadmap, or this is the approach which I need to take in order to build the project.
Right.
But inside that, I will make necessary changes to my detailed engineering document. So I'll keep making changes or adopting to changes to as per the requirements that are changing, but I'm not going and changing the basic structure. The scope is clear, but inside that individual requirements might change. So that is what they mean. So these words, yeah, as you said, these words will be really confusing. I do agree. But this is how the understanding should be. So iterative, you deliver the product only at the end, but you adapt to changes during the course of the product development. As you move forward, you keep adapting to changes. That is what iterative generally means. All right, is it clear?
Yep.
Okay. Then, any more questions?
Sir, regarding this agile, that Stacy chart you have shown, okay, there is one rightmost anarchy. Yeah. So can we use that agile method for those anarchy?
Anarchy projects are something which you should not really go and touch. So agile projects should be used for complex projects. Complex projects should use agile methodologies, not anarchy. Anarchy is better, don't touch it. So that is something which you don't have any clarity on. Neither you know the requirements properly, nor you know the technology properly. So at least one is there, we will try to do something. But when both are kind of a black hole, it's better not to touch it, which is what I would suggest. But still, if you don't have a choice and if you have to touch it, then you have to be kind of a relatively exhaustive feasibility should be done. And you need to understand what should be done upfront. So that is something which we need to really focus on. So that is important.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, welcome. Yeah, any more questions? So this is all an extracted version of our regular presentation that we have shared with you in our sessions. So you can directly use that. There's no problem in that. And
sir, sir, I have one question.
Yes,
this project life cycle, at what stage we have to finalize? Like during the project charter itself, or
I would rather say it's good that you see charter is somewhere where the project manager has just been brought in to have the foundational understanding of the project. Okay. So once the project charter is approved and the project manager is given the responsibility of the project, then only we will be able to go and try to excuse me, do something about the plan. So what I suggest is during initial stages of the project, when you just got the charter and maybe you have your key stakeholders identified and they are ready with you. So during that stages, when you're about to move, go ahead and start planning. So that is when your life cycle should be freezed. So if you observe, there are about 18 elements or 17 elements in your project management plan. You remember what are those?